Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you. I am parting the curtains this morning. How about you?
Same. It's, I spent the week doing a deep dive into like the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos, Switzerland. And, it's not all bad. So that's, listening to like an array of people and, we're going to get into it, but, it feels kind of surreal. The world feels a little surreal right now.
It's like I'm in search of the Wizard of Oz. Who's Oz? Who's behind the curtain? That's the way every morning I'm like, okay, peeking through. But before we dive into all the news, we've had a pretty cool week too. I mean, there's been some cool things. Number one, we launched our second song, sitting on some XRP, pardon me. And I had it up here. I was just going to show you guys the screen. So check this out. You're going to find it specifically here on Rumble, right? Sitting on some XRP. Check it out. It's a cool song. It's to Otis's Reddings, Sitting on a Dock of the Bay. And by the way, last night I was watching Top Gun with my family, the first one, of course. And that song was in it. It was like, oh, sweetness. So that was a little nod. So, of course, not Sitting on Some XRP was in it. But they should have. If they would have known, they would have played this song during that movie.
I think so. I think so.
Don't you? So anyway, check that out. And then also we have our next Q&A, which is tomorrow. It's at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. The registration is on our website, twowomenandcrypto.com /events. You'll find it there. We would love to have you join us. It's always really a great gathering of really honest conversations and questions. And we cover all kinds of topics like we do here.
Yep, absolutely. It's fun. It's a blast. So looking forward to everybody joining us. And and I've gotten a lot of feedback about the XRP song, and so many people thanked us for putting that together because it really shows the adoption. Right. And really makes you question like the SEC's intent, with so many different scams. And, we look at like what happened with Luna, and Luna's releasing their new project today. Like, where are the SEC? Where's the SEC like protecting those retail investors? And it just makes you question things. And the more we learn, the more we know. So it's pretty fun.
And the XRP, it is a very educational video. It gives you the snapshots of what has been happening since Ripple started and XRP started. And it also gives you all the links. So dive in. Each of the videos that we do share and we continue to bring out as they're rolled out the intention is for them to be educational and entertaining and give us some laughter, because we have to be laughing at times, at least. We need that release in the world today. So laugh away, tap your toes, sing, whatever it is.
Yep. And Kelly and I were talking like right before, the show started. And I was like, Kelly, it only looks like we're going into like this dystopian world, and I've kind of like, I've been feeling it for a while, it's like centralized systems are coming at us. They want more power, more centralization. But they're not bringing in the fact of human spirit.
Yeah.
They're not bringing into like their awareness that humans might not want to connect to the computer. Maybe some do, but not all will. And, really interesting to like follow Davos and just see like what these folks are doing. But yeah. And meanwhile, while this is all going on and the world is in chaos and the world is falling apart, here we go, right? We have JP Morgan. They sold some of their real estate to invest in crypto.
Imagine that.
The same Jamie Dimon who like wanted to fire his employees a couple of years ago for holding Bitcoin. Now they're actually selling one asset to buy another asset. So, you know, when I look at what billionaires and major institutions do, it's always a good idea to do some research into like, how are they moving their money around?
Absolutely. And I think, I think they've been preparing for this for a long time, obviously. So it's just doing it on the backside probably well before this was actually announced. But anyway, that's peeking behind the curtain.
Yeah, no, I mean, it totally makes sense. I mean, a lot of these like systems were being built back in like, I mean, Bitcoin came out what, in 2008, 2009, like right after the Great Recession. And it kind of seems like they've been working on these systems for all of these years to bring us to this moment of time. And how the government responded to COVID and all these other things, it's just accelerated, 5G and the Internet of Things. And, our world is changing. Our world is changing, but we're educating ourselves so we can steer the ship. We are not going to lose hope. It's like I posted in the blog yesterday, Michael Franti. I love Michael Franti. His song is so inspiring. It uplifts you. And it's like, yeah,
it does. And by the way, I wanted to mention that, and I was going to prior, so thank you for bringing that up. Do check out our blog at Two Women in Crypto, because it is. And, Andrea has been the one who's been posting, but it's all very inspirational and giving us these threads of hope and song to lean into and not, feel despair on a daily basis, to really lean into all the positive things, because there are positive things such as our friends, our family, our community, the roofs over our head, the food on our table. There's lots of things to be positive about, as well as we embrace or not the change. So it is what it is. We embrace it or not.
Yep. And again, like the way I look at it too, like the world is changing, right? We all agree. Like no one really knows for sure, like, where are we heading? There's all these different possibilities. But like, I believe, and I still believe, like, even within like you feel the heaviness, you feel the sadness, but like, we are in control. Like we are going to recreate something better, but these systems have to fall. So we're holding on to that because like we have a knowing that we will create something better. I mean, the people at the World Economic Forum, there's only like 2,000 of them. I mean, there's billions of us,
Right.
So it's going to be okay. But in the meantime, we have a little bit of time to dollar cost average into our favorite projects in cryptocurrency, right? Because I'm looking at the adoption, and I remembered what you said. I think it was last podcast. And a lot of YouTubers, not a lot, but some YouTubers talk about, we're in the year of the Shemitah. So we're in a building year. So we're going to build, so we're going to dollar cost average into our favorite projects. We're looking at GameStop. GameStop just added a crypto wallet. Okay.
I know. I saw that. That was like, wow, here we go.
Right.
New lease on life for GameStop. Yep.
Yep. I mean, and PayPal, they had an article out. They're looking into it to expand everything crypto. So everything crypto, PayPal wants to be a part of it. So, again, it's like they're building the infrastructure, these institutions, all the different governments, and even decentralized platforms that focus on privacy. All of these systems are being built at the same time, right? So, we're going to see what happens. But again, we're dollar cost averaging. This is totally not financial advice. Do not listen to us. We are not financial advisors. We're here.
We're entertaining.
Yeah.
We're entertaining.
We're entertaining you. Let us
we're here to
disclaimer. We're just two women talking about crypto.
And many other things. So you never know what you're going to get when you tune in. So
Yep. So here's another slice of good news. So if everybody can just go check out Link2, I'm pretty sure you can sign up for like their newsletter, but I would follow this company, LINQTO. Link2 is working with regulators to democratize being accredited, right? To be an accredited investor. So if you go to Link2's website, only accredited investors right now can buy Ripple pre-IPO. So initial public offering, if you are an accredited investor, you can purchase pre-IPO shares of Ripple, pre-IPO shares of Uphold, pre-IPO shares of Link2, and the list goes on and on. So what Link2's been doing is working with regulators to get rid of these rules. Okay, so anybody can invest in these companies, okay, which makes the system more fair. So this is definitely a good thing.
There we go. I just found it. Here we go. I just wanted to share this real quick for those that are on, and I'll post the link in the podcast as well. Notes, but yeah, interesting. Great.
Yep. So let's start following this like a little bit more closely. And then I think like I had some really good questions this week too. Like, I don't know, Kelly, if you have that GoldBacked news article handy to pop up as well. So there are some GoldBacked cryptocurrencies. I've done some research, and I know it's blurry on my end. I don't know if it's blurry for everyone else, but Kelly will pop the link in so you can take a look over all the different GoldBacked cryptocurrencies. And Paxos seems to be like one of the top tiered cryptos, in my opinion. Definitely do some research on this. But, we have Paxos Gold, and there's a whole bunch of other ones. Awesome. Yeah. Kelly will post this for everybody.
Yep, got it done. Super excited about that.
Yeah. Super. Yep. So these are all good things that are happening in the world. And, what's really cool too, I know I sent you that article about Stellar XLM partnering with Mercado Bitcoin, which is one of the largest trading exchanges in Latin America. So they're partnered, and they are working on building the CBDC for Brazil.
Yeah, isn't that interesting that all these outlying countries, but yeah, go ahead. That's important.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And it's such a good point, Kelly, because we're going to see this with emerging markets.
Yeah. Which fascinates me. It's like, the U.S. has got their anchor in the ground, and they're not. It's like we're going to be the very last to incorporate these things. It's really interesting to watch that be the case versus us being the leader in it. Yes. We're like dredging our anchor behind us. So,
right. Well, it makes sense though, right? Because the United States has so much to lose, and
absolutely,
I think a lot of the larger countries and the centralized, banking systems and the centralized governmental systems, they're trying to figure out a way to have like control. They want to know, when you're sending your money back and forth, they want to track everything. So, and again, they can try, but people are pretty smart, and we're going to come. Well, there's solutions, right? There's always solutions to problems. So let's kind of jump into it, because like when I was sitting and I was like watching the World Economic Forum, and I'm thinking about, I think about a couple of things. Like one, like they blame a lot of what's going on because of the pandemic, but I want to be very clear about this. It was the government's reaction to the pandemic that created the situation that we are in. So, when you're in a bad relationship, you can kind of be like, what's the common denominator here, Kelly? That would be me. I am the common denominator, right? So, and like when we look at a lot of the major problems that are going on in the world, what's the common denominator? Well, that would be the governmental systems, all of them, right? Like the United States, we weaponize SWIFT. Like China, they track their citizens, and you have no freedom of speech, or the
list is long.
The list is long, and in a way, it's kind of like we got to reach this tipping point, and then people's spirits will rise, and everything will go probably to poo, and then we'll figure it out, right? We'll rebuild, But I think about, like, I started posting things straight from the World Economic Forum back in like 2020. And I was like, hey, you guys, like, what do we think about the data revolution? You know, like, you know, what are some like surrounding ethical questions that we all have? And I post, you know, and then I post another thing, And it was all from the World Economic Forum's website. And it was like censored. So they were stopping, Facebook was weaponizing its platform so that people couldn't see real information, right? Because everything's been funneled through like this very specific narrative. And I'm here and Kelly's here because we're questioning that narrative. Okay.
So many questions.
So many questions. And again, it's like, you know, we're encouraging everyone, take the information that we share with you and do some research. Just do some research. Okay. Because the more educated we are, the more we can leave a better future for the next generation. And make our lives better. You know, when we're like 60, 70 years old, we can kick back and be like, we did that. It wasn't looking good for a while.
No, I know. And we were talking last night because we have many conversations throughout the week, but it's like, you know, it's fascinating to really be able to witness this in real time, right?
Yeah.
And I think we have so much of an opportunity here to make sound, educated choices by leaning into the scritchy scratchy. Nobody likes to lean into the scritchy scratchy. It's hard, but it's important.
I mean, it really is because even like on a day-to-day basis, like for me, I think about how much cognitive dissonance I have, right? Because when I'm in the flow of life and I'm with my community, I'm with my friends, you know, we're in this super supportive, loving like bubble. You know, and then like you just go out of that bubble and like life, you know, like you just remember. And we have cognitive dissonance because our lives have been so good and so easy in so many ways. Like essentials have, you know, it's been easy for us. Like Rowan's dad, water on, water off,
right?
No problem, move on. And we're looking at things a little bit differently now. And I think we should. You know, because we want the best of everything.
Absolutely.
So, you know, let's jump into the World Economic Forum. Okay.
So everybody got a shot of whiskey handy? Let's do it.
Everybody get some whiskey, or if you're someone like me, like just grab some popcorn, right? Because
right.
this is like reality TV and beyond, you know, like so like the opening is like Klaus Schwab. Okay. And everybody should know who Klaus Schwab is. He was the founder of the World Economic Forum. You know, he's a big part of the Great Reset. And then there was a lot of like propaganda and people were questioning and protesting that. So then they changed it over to the Great Narrative, Agenda 2030. It used to be Agenda 21. There's so many different, they just keep changing, you know. Kind of like Monsanto. When Monsanto was taking over the food system, they would just change their name.
Right.
Same product, but different name, different brand, and let's move on. So Klaus Schwab opened up the World Economic Forum, and he was like saying, he's like, now is the turning point of history. And we are here in this room as a community to tell you how to live your lives, to tell the people how to live their lives. There's like 2,000 of these people. A ticket's anywhere between $60,000 to $600,000. Okay. Now, people, these elite people, they didn't fly coach, folks. They didn't fly coach. You know, they flew in their private jet and their gas guzzling jets. They get into their high-end limos or Mercedes, like whatever it may be, and they go to the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos. They are not concerned about climate change because if they were, everything would be electric. They would be leading by example. They would be modeling, okay? But they're not. I don't see any of them wearing a Fitbit tracking like how many steps they're walking or anything like that. Right?
Yeah, but I know you're going to be talking about that too, or we're going to touch on that anyway. Yeah.
So anyway, so Klaus Schwab, you know, he does like his little intro thing, and these people really believe that they know what's best for us. So when I'm listening to him, I start questioning, and let's ask ourselves, like, we're all individuals. Is Klaus Schwab our master? And are we his servant? You know what I mean? Because and we have to ask these questions because, like, Michael Evans or J. Michael Evans, he's the president of Alibaba. And it's right. I mean, straight from his mouth. I'm not making this up. This is not a conspiracy theorist. Stop calling people that and get on the computer and do some research. Okay. Right. Because knowledge is power. And we're not all, but a lot of conspiracy theorists are trying to help you. Okay. Because they're trying to show you the truth. And the narrative is pushing the truth down. Okay. And that's exactly what's going on. And this guy, J. Michael Evans, the president of Alibaba, he was saying, and you could see him thinking, and he was like, we're not quite there yet. We've developed a tracking device that will know where each individual person goes, how they get there, what they eat, what they drink. And again, they're close. It's not quite there yet. So, okay, this guy, and for those who don't know what Alibaba is, it's like Amazon. Okay, so just look up Alibaba, do some research on it, look up this guy, J. Michael Evans, because what they're trying to do is they want to track each individual's carbon footprint. Every step you take, every move you make, they will be watching you, right? I mean,
it's a song. That's our next song right there.
Every step you take.
Every move you make will affect your social credit score. Woo!
Good thing we have the Hodlrs.
Truth.
We speak the truth, folks.
Oh my God. Let's just keep going. Anyway, go ahead. Thank you for this release. I needed that this morning.
Totally. So here's the crazy thing, like in my insane kind of brain. So I've been tracking this company. Everybody look this up. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is a real thing. Okay. It's called Dueconomy. I think I talked about it in the past, probably a long time ago on one of the podcasts, right? So Dueconomy, it's you get your MasterCard with your ESG or your social credit score, your environmental social governance. They partnered with the United Nations, and it's volunteer. You can volunteer, of course. And as soon as you hit your carbon credit limit for the day, they cut you off.
Am I correct here? This is the correct one?
That is the correct one. Okay.
Providing leading impact data service for individuals and corporations to help educate, engage, and reduce environmental impact by following everything you do.
Okay. So, all right. So we know that these elite people and these governments, right? They have their plan. They know what our carbon credit score should be. What's theirs? Who's determined? How come they get to fly in their private jets? How come Senator Warren gets to fly in her private jets? You know what I mean? Or what about, why isn't the fleet of all the governments around the world, why aren't they leading the way driving Teslas or other electric vehicles? Okay. Or showing how their water gets shut off when they use their allotted amount for the day, And again, if they're not going to win, right? They're not going to win because you cannot control the entire population, but they have a lot of power, and we're going to gather and come together as a community and come up with solutions. And that's another reason why I keep telling people, email your congressman, email your senator, and better yet, and I know it's painful and it's a little soul sucking, but let's suck it up and start going to the city council meetings.
Okay. So I seem to have lost Andrea. I'm not sure if anybody else has lost her, if it's just my feed. Let's see if she comes back in. If anybody is still out there. Let me know. Let me see. I'm not sure if it's me or... Okay, Kevin, you're still there. Thank you very much. Let's see where Andrea went. Oh, well, you just got me for a few minutes. Let's see if she can come back in here as her internet gets in. So, all right, perfect. Well, it's nice to see you guys. Thank you for letting me know the situation on your end. That's super helpful. Andrea really is our news person, but I would love to know if you guys have any questions real quick. I'm going to send her a text and see what she's got going on. I'm sure her internet went down. I can imagine just what she's thinking right now. Those of you that know Andrea can imagine what's going on in her world. She's going to come back in giggling, hopefully here in a minute. So those of you that have been following actually the market movements, which is where I spend a lot of my time, is looking at the charts. It's just a really fascinating thing when I look at these trading ranges, especially Bitcoin. It's just so watching that. We're coming into some really interesting times on the market. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of a pump up, but I don't believe we are necessarily out of the woods. And I think that everybody would agree with that. Let's see what she... Yeah, her internet is completely down, guys. So what we might do here, let me see what else we had on our list. All right. Well, I think what I'll do is I don't believe she's probably going to be able to come back in as it appears. So I'm just going to share with you one last little bit and we'll... Whoops. Hold on. Hello, we are live. Do you want to just talk through the phone? Do you want to continue? I can put you on speaker. How's that? We'll see. We'll see what kind of feedback we get. Hold on just a second. Yeah, we'll get some feedback from those that are listening. Hold on. Okay, those that are out here, I'm going to have Andrea share and see if you can hear, if it's not too bad. Go ahead, please, Andrea.
All right. Looks like I got kicked off the internet and the garbage man is just coming, but I'm trying to get back in.
Oh.
All right, I think I'm back in. Sorry, everyone.
I'm not sure.
I'm coming on.
Are you? Okay. Let's see. That was an interesting little sound.
Us getting this information out. They cut me off. They cut me off. There's a little glitch in the matrix, Kelly.
Well, just so you know, Kevin said that you sounded just fine. So in the future, if that happens, if you get kicked off, we'll just put you on speakerphone. People can look at me and I'll just be like, hey, peace. Keep on talking. So anyway, it's all good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so where were we? I think I was talking about we were discussing Duconomy.
We're talking about those individuals that are choosing to have huge carbon footprints, right? Such as the elitists, etc.
Right. So I think like what the plan is to save the climate and the environment is to put us on like a carbon-based system, right? And to hear these folks talk about it so openly, one, it's concerning, and two, it's real. The other thing that I really want everybody to start to check is go to your bank, go online, and then type in ESG, environmental social governance, because we're seeing all the major institutions move over to this like carbon-based credit system. So again, we have solutions. There are other options. And the good news is as well is like, it takes time. It takes time to change over the entire world's financial system, because this is their plan. They want this one world government. with like, the United States would no longer exist, but we would have the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the Bank of International Settlements, and they would make the rules for the world. So it's not going to happen. They can try, but it won't work. It won't work. It won't work.
No.
I'm trying to convince myself. No. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Got a little black box around everything. Yep.
Yeah, I know. We'll just paint big Faraday fences around all of our stuff.
Right.
Faraday paint. Look it up. It's a thing.
There. Yeah.
Yep. So, okay. So now I lost all my notes. So I'm going to wing it for the next half an hour. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, let me just, because I kind of want to stay in order here. The Australian e-safety commissioner, her name is Julie Inman Grant. Okay. She spoke at the World Economic Forum, and what she's calling for, Kelly, is a recalibration of freedom of speech, of privacy, and human rights.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a little concerning.
Yeah.
And then I spent, the next 2 days, like contemplating, like, wow, we're going to like this digitization world, right? And like, what if we digitize everything and then these elite people take control and they can reshape the whole narrative of the history of the world, our ancestry, the knowledge that we have access to, right? So so
yeah.
we want to gather books. We want to write things down. It's really important. And again, it's just like, I think that we have to see truths, right? Because I see the whole thing. And again, it's scary, but they're going to fall and the people will move into a different system. But we have these two systems. There's two systems.
Right. You have to keep a foot.
Right. And I want to point out how scary this system is. Because like this is like a real thing, and these people think, whether they think it's like actually like what needs to happen for humanity with, but they don't have to follow the same rules. But like if they really believe this, then like we do want to take a look at this. We need to take a look at this. We need to step into our courage, ground our feet into the ground, and take a look at this and be like, what's the solution? If I don't want to participate in this carbon-based credit where I'll only probably be able to drive like, I don't know, 5-10 miles a day, and maybe I'll only be able to eat meat once a week. And when I go to the grocery store and I look at these like plant-based alternatives, they don't really sound like healthy choices for my body.
Well, let's just look at the ingredients, and I think you can make an educated decision on that. But yeah, absolutely. And I think it's not just, I think you bring up a really important point, which I hadn't really thought about, was the history, the ancestry, the stories, the reality of how we have even come to this point, but really being able to go back and honor and remember all of the evolutionary steps.
Right.
What did we take? And we can't lose that. We can't.
No, we can't. We don't want to lose our ancestry. We don't want to lose the knowledge of what brought us to America in the first place, right? You know what I mean? Like, I know for me personally and for my ancestry and my background, it was to escape tyranny. And this looks very familiar.
Right. Yeah.
And it should for all of us, right?
And even that, I mean, just on that note, somewhat of a left turn, but even that really leaning into what is the truth of what has been told to us in the past already. It's such a huge conversation to have completely outside of what we're speaking of today, but it is part of that whole metamorphosis. It's the same situation, what they did back however many thousands of years ago to change the narrative to put us in a different position. And here we are again, but on a much grander scale, in my opinion. But I guess it's relative.
Yeah. And like, it really reminds me of too, like kind of like erasing our memories. Like like, I don't know, I know none of us really watch a lot of Netflix or TV, but there was a show called Good Place, Bad Place or something on Netflix. And it was like, you died, you were in hell, but they made it seem like you were in heaven. But like the bad person at the time could snap his fingers and you would forget. And you would go through the same thing over and over and over again. And I feel it's so similar because we're here to remember. We're here to remember who we are, purity, light, and love. We're here to spread the goodness and to create a better future because we are powerful human beings, right? So, and I think that these people, especially at the World Economic Forum, feel threatened by the compassion, our empathy, our love, and they're coming after us. And the thing is, it's like, it's nothing you can buy and it's nothing you can enslave. You can try, but we will always emerge and rise.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, I do want to go over, I know last week we talked about Nigeria and their tyrannical government and how they cut like a third of the population off from access to their phones because they refused to download a national identification ID. And now a lot of people will come out and say, Andrew, what's the big deal? I have nothing to hide. But this is about your sovereignty. This is about your privacy. And this is about, do you get to choose how to live your life, or does someone else, should someone else tell you how to live your life? Like, that's the bottom line. Should the government tell you how to live your life? Do you not have the power to make your own decisions? So we're going to empower ourselves and we're going to get knowledgeable and we're going to create this awesome community to steer that ship. So once they get you and you download your global ID, look up global ID or ID 2020. Okay, ID 2020 was created by Microsoft. Okay, and they're partnered with all these bad people like Accenture, pharmaceutical company. And, again, we've seen data breaches with Google. We've seen data breaches with Amazon, with all of these large centralized companies. So the idea of having a global ID that's going to be centralized is not a good idea. So these are just things we want to look into because I know it's new and we don't have a lot of education about it, but we can track it. And through history, we know that all of our data has been breached.
Well, and they make it appear as though, and it does. It, in many ways, it absolutely simplifies your life if you do the global ID. I was telling Andrea this week, I was setting up a new exchange account, and they asked me, do you want to sign in with your global ID? And that's the first time I've ever been prompted with that specific question on any of the exchange platforms. Yeah. And I'm like, no, thank you. And I was able to bypass that. And we want to be able to bypass that. So we don't want that to become a mandate for us to access anything that we're doing in the financial sector or anything in life in general. It's all really important to understand what's happening.
Yep. And, and it's really interesting, it's just so interesting too, because when we think about like the Internet of Things and, I've done like a deep dive on Helium. It's a peer-to-peer network and they make it sound so good. But when I did a deeper dive on Helium, and I actually spoke with one of the developers on the team at Helium, and they're funded by Google. So again, I think that the Helium network is going to be completely centralized, like a backdoor, something very similar to like Terra Luna, where in an emergency or a crisis situation, they will be able to gain access to everything, basically shut it down, flip the kill switch, whatever it may be. So that's why it's really important that we get our coins offline. They're on our ledger, Safepal, Trezor, whichever you prefer. Just don't have all your money on centralized exchanges.
Absolutely.
Yep. And now, again, let's talk about a solution. Cause sometimes when I'm out and I'm talking to people, a lot of people are feeling like we're being pushed up against the wall. Right. So, there's a land and exit summit coming up by John Bush. He's part of the Greater Reset. I love their name. They're the ones that got together and created the Above phone, which is a de-Googled phone with like their app store and their maps and all different ways of using the technology that we have, but in a decentralized way that we're not being tracked on an individual basis. So we want to look into the Above phone. We want to look into the Greater Reset. We want to look at the Land and Exit Summit. I think there's one coming up in a couple days.
This is the blueprint. Is it this one?
Yeah, that's right. So they're going to talk a lot about how you can create, whether you want to join another community or you want to create your own community, but it's going to help you start to get educated on how we can live free, sovereign lives.
Yeah.
And I believe, and I know I sent you that other article, which I didn't even know about. And I don't know if you did, but there was that town in Northern California that the mayor stood up and declared that they were a constitutional republic. And again, I think that, due to the lack of education that the school system provided us, because they were shaping the narrative through funding, right? If Verizon gives a town all this money, yeah, they're going to put in 5G, right? Because you're getting bought off, right? You're giving up things for money. So when we look at like a town that stood up for sovereignty, I think that this is going to become something that we're going to see more and more of all around the United States, right? Because like people who live in where you live, Kelly, in Portland, you've really seen a deterioration of the society in Portland and the lack of humanity, right?
It's a tough situation. It's a really tough environment.
Yep. It's not safe. The homeless population is growing. Crimes, are just being like, it's okay. You can just, and I think they're saying, don't worry, we won't arrest shoplifters because in a year or two, everyone's going to have a facial recognition and then they'll just cut you out.
Yeah, and that's been a problem here in Oregon for a long time. Is there rules around shop? But you're seeing that everywhere anyway. That's it. But it's something we all need to be paying attention to yet again. Well, I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, about the Land and Exit Summit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, and about that town. And it's a reminder that the United States is not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Okay, we're not a democracy because like we've learned from like the leaders in the past that a democracy just turns into like a plutocracy, and that could lead to totalitarianism, you name it, all the isms, right? They're bad. So we're a republic, and I think eventually more and more people, are going to rise, and we are going to steer the ship into a different direction. And in the meantime, we want to get educated on what are these possible solutions? How do I feel about this? And choose for yourself, right? Do I want to stay and participate in smart cities and all of and everything that constitutes like a definition of a smart city? What are you going to give up to be a part of that world? Or how about exiting and creating a community of farmers and entrepreneurs and just going that route, so you have a choice, and we have a choice.
We do. We were talking earlier this week and I said, just take me out to the country. Leave me on a hillside and I'll be just fine. I'll be just fine. Thank you. I'll figure it out from there.
Kelly's going to go live with the bears.
I'm going to go live with the bears. Yes. The bears and I will be good friends.
Yep. I love it. Yep. And again, I still think and I don't know if anyone else was following the World Economic Forum. It wasn't all bad. I think it was really good to see Brad Garlinghouse was there. And I'm not saying he's a good or bad person, but you know, like I've had some comments about our XRP video from like my anarchist friends and libertarian friends. Like, they're not a big fan of XRP. It's a banker's coin. It's used for cross-border payments from banking to banking systems, major institutions around the world. And my response to people who aren't on board with the ISO 222 tokens, and I'm fine with that. There's 19,000 tokens. Invest in your favorite project, but do you use a United States dollar?
Right.
You know, I mean, I think these ISO 222 coins are growing on top of our current financial system. And eventually we're going to shift into a decentralized system. But I think that this is kind of like a bridge. XRP is a bridge, right? We're bridging from a centralized system to a decentralized system. And within that time, I do believe the XRP ledger will become more and more decentralized because more and more developers are going to develop on top of these platforms, because why would you develop on top of Ethereum when you can develop on the XRP ledger for, you know, pennies on the dollar? So I think these systems are still coming out, and XRP isn't Ripple. So if Ripple replaces the Swift system, let's just say, or they collaborate with the Swift system to grow on their system, Ripple will be centralized.
Right.
XRP is not. Ripple goes out of business. XRP still remains on that XRP ledger. So I do see hope in all of this. And at the same time, like, I do believe we'll see some of these systems fall down. It's going to change. And it's really concerning when we look at like what's going on today. Right.
Yeah. The next 2 years will be telling. We don't know what's going to be played out. So, but I'm on ISO 222 token. I mean, that's, if I look at investing, that's where I'm focused at.
Yeah, right, and me too, and it makes absolute sense, you know, because like we hear major institutions from like Deutsche Bank and even Swift and even like the Federal Reserve Bank, like they're going to move over to ISO 222. And you sent me that article that it got delayed, right? Because we're changing our entire financial system, so it's going to take some time to get everything like to bring this all together in a way where it's successful.
Yeah, they're using this opportunity to, you know, put the rails in and test it. So it is going to take some time, but that's okay. We're still so early to this game. We are still so very early, and the market's going to show us how early we are this whole year.
Right. So, and again, I think like, you know, again, like I know, like even if you bought Bitcoin at 69,000 and now it's 30,000, just remember in a couple of years, do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to be more than 69,000 or less?
Just wait till the halving event, right? That's 2024.
That's right. So worst case scenario, that's what we're looking at. And in the meantime, we dollar cost average and we build our bags, because this is the time where people actually can invest in generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, we look at these coins and how far down, you know, they've gone. You know, it's just like fire sale. Everything is on sale. We're not buying all at once. And this isn't financial advice, but like we're dollar cost averaging in, right? We're just taking $25 a month, $25 a week, pick your favorite coins and start building these bags, you know, and again, I mean, and even with the ISO 222 coins, and with the central bank digital currencies, we are looking at 80 to 90% of all central banks looking to implement this. And I do see multiple systems going on at the same time. So, you know, as much as I want the world to be completely decentralized today, it's just not. And I'm 50, so I live in reality. I think if I was 20, I would just live on my Monero and live in my tent.
Right, but we have to keep a foot in both worlds. I mean, we really do,
because we live in both worlds, and I don't want to give up my world. And I think that's like part of it is like I feel like I'm being pushed up in the corner and being like, man, am I really gonna buy like property in the middle of Florida? Like, I live at the beach, you know, like I go to the ocean. Like, I mean, these are like real questions that I'm starting to be like, you know,
yeah. No, absolutely.
It's really hard to let go of what is, but we'll keep watching this, and hopefully the world will come together. We're going to rise. We'll steer the ship and we're going to go into this decentralized world. But history shows us that it usually takes an event where people lose a lot and then they rise.
Right. Yeah.
And either way, we're okay. You know,
right.
That's the
our
thing.
worlds are going to be fine because we're aware. That's the big thing, is we've got to trust that our worlds will be fine because we're paying attention. I'll build my world in Montana. You'll build your world in Florida, and we'll go back and forth, whatever that's going to be. Who knows what it's going to be, but we're on it.
Yep, we're on it, and we're creating really positive, beautiful things, and so is everyone else. And like, how can we be like a positive? Like, how can we show up positively for our community? You know, so we just want to like kind of stick with that. Yep. But yeah, and that's pretty much all the news. I mean, so much adoption going on. We got Stellar going live sometime in June. There's no date. I've looked. There's no date.
That'll be it'll be fun to watch that. It's fun to watch the projects that we're so involved with actually begin their launching process or what. I mean, there's a lot of other projects out there that we could lean into. I think too, if you can get on board to some of these early projects that haven't even launched, which maybe we can talk about a few of those next week.
Okay, awesome.
I think that would be helpful for all of us, and not to be stuck in this place that we're at right now and looking at what else is being birthed, because it's not just what's on the docket right now. There's other projects that continue to be developed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and it was really interesting to hear Brad Garlinghouse. Like in the beginning, they would talk about how like 90 to 99% of all cryptos are going to go away. And Brad Garlinghouse, he was like, half of crypto will go away. So now everything always changes. So we can't really listen to what these people say. We have to look at all the actions, right?
Right.
It's like this one guy, this crazy guy from Alibaba, like he can say, yeah, we're planning on tracking the entire world. You could say that, but it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. Right. So, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So, yep.
It is. Well, thanks for everybody that are tuning in. And hey, Kevin, bears are cool. They're warm and fuzzy. They're not going to do any.
Kevin does not like the outdoors.
Kevin.
I know.
Got to get out there. Enjoy it.
That's it.
Well, until next time, as we always say,
plant potatoes and hodl on.
Hodl on. Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, hodl on.